Welcome to the webinar. Please stand by. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining us for the AMA today. We have again Ravi Narayan, THub CEO, and Anil Joshi from Unicorn India Ventures. We are really glad you agreed to join us. Thank you so much for giving time, Anil. Ravi, please take it forward from here. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. It's really nice to have you here. Special welcome to a good friend of mine, Anil Joshi, from a very long time. Several companies that we have looked at together, worked on. So it's really nice to catch him, during the time that we are all, going through a lot of consternation. We're trying to figure out what's going on around us. Is this normal? Does this happen every so often if you're doing a startup or if you're investing? So a lot of questions that we are all trying to answer for ourselves. As you can see, Anil is a lot more wise and a lot more, lot more knowledgeable than I am. So I thought it'll be good to have him along with me to answer some of the questions that you may have. So I will ask him to, give his opening remarks in a couple of minutes. But I just wanted to give you a sense of what THub is all about. And the reason I feel it's important is because a lot of times we hear about THub through social media, through various people talking about it. And as you can imagine, THub is also a startup, and we have also been evolving. So the story of THub continues to change, and especially now with the pandemic and the need for people to work from home, the dynamics are changing. So does THub have to change to be still relevant and still valuable to all our stakeholders? So we are continuing to evolve as well. So I'll just walk you through a very quick couple of slides. So let me see. Okay, here.
Not yet, Ravi.
Okay.
Once again, let me help. Just try it now. Yeah.
Can you see it now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Okay, great. So, let's see if I can close this. So, THub is something that sits at the epicenter of an innovation ecosystem that we are trying to build here in Telangana. And while we do a few things, we also look upon ourselves as people who empower and enable multiple other stakeholders in the ecosystem to do what they need to do to be successful, be it startups, be it corporates, be it government, investors, academia, So all of these are our stakeholders in actually, in building this innovation ecosystem in the state of Telangana, which we feel will also be a model for us to build across the country in other states and also in the center. So we have a three-pronged strategy. So we work with startups all the way from the time that they come in with, say, about 50 lakhs of annual revenue run rate. And so then we bring them into our incubation programs. And then as they get closer to Series A, they start becoming part of our acceleration programs. And eventually, post Series A, Series B, and beyond, we are looking at all the scaling programs. Obviously, the way you do incubation versus acceleration with scaling is all very different. Much more nuanced, much more about funding, much more about go to market. In the later stages, early stages, about mentoring and helping with business models and so on and so forth. So we have other global ecosystems and vice versa. The global ecosystem startups wanting to come to India, we become the gateway to make that happen. So there are a lot of these things that we do, which therefore we uh, consider ourselves an innovation hub, and it's a unique concept that is emerging and is very important because you're building entire ecosystems at one go rather than trying to do one thing at a time. So we've been very much doing our bit in terms of a situation for the startups, creating awareness, working on getting best practices, and also bringing in the experts to help figure out what could be a potential new normal, and therefore how do you actually get ready for that. So these are the four types of webinars. Handling the hard time, because that was the lot of questions that came, in March, end of March. So we help with most of the existential issues. Business unusual is the set of webinars where we kind of bring in the best practices of project management, monitoring, code development, DevOps, whatever. So these are the things that we bring, because these are things that usually startups say, what, that's what a corporate does. It's not what startups do. We are nimble, we are agile. But, if everybody in your startup is actually sitting at home, how do you really manage if you don't have a project management or a project plan to begin with? And how do you monitor that you're making progress and so on and so forth? Plan B or C or whatever you want to call it, going back to the drawing board, seeing how best to leverage the technology that has already been built, the understanding of the market that's already in place with your team, and really take off from here. And then finally, the AMA, which is your part of, we get you to meet with one of the thought leaders in this ecosystem, get him or her to express their thoughts on how best to get through the whole situation. And they bring in a very large vantage point, because they have been there, done that several times themselves as entrepreneurs, as investors, and they feel that this too shall pass. This is how you actually look at these possibilities. So we have had several speakers for the business unusual, as you can see. We've also been busy on this Plan B. A lot of very interesting conversations that have come to fore with both entrepreneurs and VCs. Then we also had these AMA sessions now, and we'll continue to have a few more as we go along. And the good news is a lot of our partners continue to leverage the webinars that we do, and we leverage their webinars because we need to serve our set of startups as well. So there's a lot of synergy between our partners and so on and so forth. So we're hoping that one, we can help you kind of situate your thought process, get a lot more confident about your situation and the plans that you're making for the future. But at the same time, if you need a specific help with your startup, your product roadmap, and so on and so forth, there are mentors that are on standby that could actually spend a lot of time with you. And we have doubled almost, even more than that, the number of mentor hours, because mentors are spending a lot of time post this webinar to actually help through the specific set of questions, specific set of challenges that each one of you is facing. So I think we are also changing, making sure that we continue to stay relevant, and especially for those tee-up startups that felt that only one way of them getting benefit from us was to come and sit inside T-Hub. Well, you don't have to, and we have not been sitting there for the last 2 months, and yet a lot of them have continued to benefit and continue to thrive during this very, very challenging times. So that's what I wanted to share with you. Now I will invite my friend and guest for today to start with his opening.
Thanks, Ravi. You've been doing great job. Congratulations to you and your team. I think it's very unusual time, and the way you have adopted, would certainly want to congratulate you and your team. Good morning, all. Once again, thanks for having me for this session. Let's see what I have to contribute today. But bit about me and what we do. We are an early stage venture fund based out of Mumbai, and we are in our third fund. The first fund, which we started in 2015, went live in 16. We have invested in 17 companies out of that in India. That's a 100 crore fund. It's a Unicorn India Ventures. And 2018, we also started a cross-border fund, for cross-border opportunities in UK. That's a very small fund, evergreen, very small objective to invest anything around 3 to 5 million pound in 6-7 opportunities every year. So last year we invested in 7 companies. This year I'm not sure how it will go because that's a very specific opportunistic sidecar fund. So we might have some slowness in UK, but the third fund, which is second for India, it's a 400 crore fund. We were a bit lucky to have our first close just before lockdown happened. Out of 400 crore, we have done our first close at around approximate 12 million, which is around 90 crore. And glad to share that we already made couple of investments in process announcing them. And I'm sure Ravi would be happy to know that we also made one investment in Hyderabad, which we will announce, at appropriate time. Still going through certain diligence process. As a fund, we focus, more on tech-oriented business. The thesis has been look at businesses, which either are enabler because of technology, or could be disrupted, because of technology or a digital layer. To give you example, so we all know, what has been happening, for last 2 months. Almost everybody is confined in 4 walls, right? The size of wall would be different, but at the end of the day, everyone is supposed to be, within their house. And this we had been seeing for last 70, 75, for some people maybe 80 days. Things are still moving, right? While businesses have come to standstill, but there are few people, who have actually changed and have still, been relevant to businesses. To give example, look at Zomato, right? It's a food delivery business, and considering current situation, they also added grocery delivery. I think they went through certain approvals, certain policy changes, but at the end of the day, they were able to be in business, could utilize their manpower for delivery to people. So we invested in one business from fund one, which is Neuro Equilibrium. That's in a Pharma Rack, and I'll also speak about bit about Neuro Equilibrium. Pharma Rack is basically in a business of automating sales order processing between distributor and retailers, right? It's a B2B real-time order processing. So whenever retailers, pharma stores go out of stock, they can go online check which distributor have the relevant product and place order real time basis, right? Which was not possible earlier because the only way was to either make a phone call or a WhatsApp or maybe salesman, but they were not sure whether product would be delivered to them or not. And especially during this last 2 months, when the movement of people were restricted even for some essential services, it was very difficult for medical stores who were the only one who had been operating for last 2 months day in day out, how to place order and get order. And Pharma actually came as a helping hand. And the to my surprise, we saw business going down for a couple of weeks, but then all of a sudden it actually started showing exponential growth. So we try to look at businesses which actually can help or and can be business enabler. And that's one business which has been had been doing very good even during COVID time. I'll just touch upon Neuro Equilibrium because I stated that name. Neuro Equilibrium is is in a super specialty. So for example, let's say any clinic which just have access to general medical practitioner or MBBS, but if you need to extend super specialty services, they lack access to doctors, access to infrastructure, whereas Neuro Equilibrium come in and help solving those problems, and they help getting this done remotely. I don't know how many of you would have have used video conferencing for access to doctors. I had to do it, and it has been very easy, right? How do you go to doctor when clinics are shut? Though they've been made to open, but access is really tough. So Neuro Equilibrium had been that business, and they had also seen surge in their activity. So that's a bit about us as a fund. We stay focused on tech oriented business, and same theme we are going to follow for fund 2. We expect to invest around 20 odd companies from fund 2. I think we have made around 4 or 5 investment. Still have room to invest another 14, 15, 16 companies. Typically, as a fund, we invest in 6, 7, 8 companies a year, and any fund is most active in the first 3 years, and then they start building the portfolio. So that's what we about a fund. We are a Mumbai based company, and talking about current situation. Of course, I've shared my views, but I actually don't know the audience mix today. But let me give two perspective. As an investor, though we had been investing, but in general, investments have gone slow. It's not only India, but across board, because we as an investor, we don't know what's stored in, right? When this situation is going to improve, how long this will keep continuing. So one thing is that we all believe or expect that vaccine or cure probably would be available after a year, right? But honestly speaking, this will be much longer, because to serve a population of almost around 7.5, 8 billion, with so many countries, with a diversity of logistics, I think this will be a long journey, right? What I understand, the flow would be first medical practitioners, then kids, then older people, and then people like us get healthier. So I think by the time we will have access, this will be much longer. So in this uncertain time, most of the businesses, for example, just before lockdown happened, we had been evaluating a travel focused opportunity, and we liked the team, the founders, the way they had been building the product stack, and the global use of that product. We were quite excited, and we wanted to invest in. But because of lockdown, we all know the one industry which has been most impacted is the travel and tourism and the hotel industry, right? And while flights have started, trust me, every flight which is being flown today is burdened with losses, right? While if they are parked at one of the airport, they still pay. But if they are running, I think the loss is only growing. But I think they are doing their bit to make situation comfortable for customer. But the journey to recover would be much longer for travel industry, and the business which we were looking to invest. It's certain that I have a lot of friends in travel industry, hotels separate, and they say that at least it may take something around 9-12 months before they would have some clarity on how business will shape up, right? So we have to put that one investment on hold while we have invested in a couple of other opportunities. But there are certain businesses which would only burn, right? So these are very uncertain time. It's not that investors don't want to invest, but they have to be careful where they're investing, right? My suggestion, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to find out from you the people that you have already invested in. What are the kinds of challenges are they finding? What is it that you are doing to help them? What if there is certain sets of patterns that you're beginning to see amongst your portfolio companies?
So it's a great example, question, and I'll give it two examples, right? One example of an existing portfolio company which is in a set of business, and they found an opportunity because of their skill sets and what change they made, and are still in business. And second, the businesses which probably have tougher time. So we have one company which is in smart appliances, and they work with a lot of OEMs to make their devices smarter. So this company actually is in manufacturing and do source certain parts from China and rest of the India. I think because of this COVID situation, the manufacturing actually have gone for toss, right? The people who have better access and local access to raw material are still in game, but high tech dependency on China and other market, I think they will take longer to recover. So this one company which has been doing a decent business and a portfolio company, they actually identified an opportunity. In fact, India also has been spending a lot encouraging startups to come up with a solution which could be relevant for COVID situation. So no, I was just chatting with boys. I said while you have excellent bunch of engineers, why don't you think of something which could make you relevant? And they actually came up with a very interesting product. I'll just show if you guys can look at it, right? They have developed this a simple device, ergonomically designed. This actually have multi-purpose use. This can help you open door. This can help you close door, your a car door. You don't have to touch lift. You can open lift door, lift button, ATM. It's a multi-purpose looks quite simple, right? In fact, I just received it, and the boys have just made this. To my surprise, I thought maybe some kind of hobby stuff, but you would be surprised that they have already received order worth 100,000 units from one single country, right? The importance of this, just imagine, right? The people who have to keep moving, right? The courier boy, the delivery boy, the number of touches they do. If they have a device like this, I think they can at least safeguard themselves from some unusual touch. So this example I gave specifically because this is never their scheme of thing, but they actually identified the opportunity, put few of their engineers on job, and came up this unique design, very simple product, right? It just cost 100-150 rupees, and it have multi-purpose use, right? All of a sudden they would have a very decent business, right? So already in process of making those 100,000 units only for one single country. And imagine, how much, this single, of course, there would be some copycats now, but at least you are in business, right? So this one example I gave you, Ravi, because, I think in this uncertain time, you have either choice to sit at home and do nothing, or think, basis your strength, what additional you can do that, you are still in business. This one example. I'll give another example. Probably, Ravi, you had also been in touch with this company, and I can name that company. It's a Shepherd, right? Delhi-based company. They had been, in touch with you in your previous avatar with Microsoft, and the company is basically, backend as a service, and they've been doing decent job. Have a lot of, blue chip corporate clients, but because of this COVID situation, they also had faced similar situation. They realized that now, because of work from home, many companies are going to face problem on ensuring certain trust factor related issues, security issues, like if somebody is working from, just imagine a bank employee who has to work from home. They have challenge in accessing their device, right? The technology is the only one which can give comfort to bank, right? To allow employee to use a device which probably at home. So they came up with a solution. Again, bunch of engineers within team worked on it, and within 2 weeks, 24 hours, they kept on working and came up with a product which now they're talking to corporates who are looking to place order for 50,000 employee base, right? So 50,000 people working from home for so imagine how technology can actually help you be in business, wherein you probably would have been out of business, right? So our suggestion to our company: identify the strength which can still make you do something and be in business, or try to see that how do you pass this phase while you would have some expenses. Just see how you can survive for next 12 months, so that when situation improves bit, you can get back to action, right? So these examples I thought may be relevant for group, and this two example I gave about two companies totally are doing something which was never in their scheme of things, right?
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. So maybe Anil, we can take some questions from the audience
sure.
now. Start.
Yeah.
Sure.
Great.
So we have like a very like good questions that people registered with already. So I'm gonna read them out to you. But I request all the participants who want to ask questions directly to the speakers to raise your hand. I have typed the same in the chat window as well if you want to refer. Please use the raise hand option if you want to directly ask the question to the speakers.
Sandhya, I
Okay.
hope you're asking one question at a time.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, the first question.
We won't be able to register all the questions you give us and then answer them.
No, I won't. So yeah, the first question is very interesting. Is raising venture debt worth the risk for startups in current situation?
See, I think the availability of or access to venture debt is very important, right? There are only three sources. One is banks. I think Indian government have made some provisions. Second is NBFC, which I think still work in progress. And then we have venture debt, funds who actually are in this business of venture debt, right? These are the three sources which I can remember, right? My suggestion to entrepreneurs or founders is that take it, provided you think you would be able to serve it, as and when things gets improved, as and when things starts improving for you, maybe after 12 months, right? I think Indian government have made certain provisions, wherein they're providing 1 year moratorium, and then pay in 3 or 4 years time. If you have access to that kind of product and solution, go for it, provided you are in position to serve it. Otherwise, I would suggest first correct your house, have clarity on how much money you would need for how much month, and then go for probably mix of venture or venture debt or equity.
Can I just add to that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, see, venture debt is a new instrument that has been come into the market over the last 2 3 years, and there are a few players like Anil mentioned that are there, and most of them like to follow on a venture round, and that's where they feel that they have mitigated their risks. Somebody has done the due diligence, they've understood how to evaluate the company and all that, and hopefully they've only raised money for opex kind of things that will actually create a huge amount of value, and they usually try to use that money that will go towards capex or something that is potentially not going to add that much value to the valuation. That can become a venture debt kind of instrument for them. Now, having said that, obviously, there is a sequence of events that need to happen for that to be drawn upon, the venture debt to be drawn upon. That's one thing. Or the other thing that we discussed on the last AMA is how do we try and club a few startups together and then go to the venture debt guys and say, okay, here is a more of a portfolio mix rather than a single company that you need to worry about, and therefore where risk mitigation is much higher. So there are certain initiatives underway where we are trying to club some of VC, some startups, and see if there is a way for us to go directly to venture debt guys without going through the VC route and then having them as a subsequent round of funding. But you never know. I mean, just like the startups are innovating, you never know. The venture debt guys also may come up with other considerations for them to put the money to work. So we'll see.
So you're right, Ravi. I think SIDBI under PMO is actually working on some solution where it would probably have some element of venture debt. I think they've already done it, but they're trying to modify so that they can broaden the scope for more startups to have access to it. Let's say work in progress. Yeah.
So now we have a few raised hands. So the first one is Fanindra Dubha. So sir, I'm giving you access to the mic. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, please ask your question.
We can't see him, Panindra. We can't see you.
Yeah. I don't know. My camera is on. Probably some sort of.
We can't actually give access to video here.
Oh, really? Oh, Sandy has got that.
First of all, I appreciate Ravi for the fantastic work during the pandemic for all of us. And my question is that for us, I am a startup 1 year old. What is the possibility of success for a click and brick or a brick and click as a startup vis-a-vis SaaS models? One, actually, had the video been there, I wanted to show Anil Joshi. I also designed and manufactured a similar kind of a product which is shown on the video. Probably I would have shown it on the video. I already manufactured them and started now promoting. Over.
No, please go for it, right? So see, in today's time, standalone brick model probably may not succeed. So in my view, I think it has to be mix of both click and brick, wherein you could store and enable deliveries from brick, and the order processing and enabling could happen through click, right? Look at the association which has happened between Geo and Facebook, right? I don't know if you have made some analysis, but this one association is going to disrupt the way hyperlocal grocery stores in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, maybe interiors of India will start functioning, right? You would still need modular or standardized brick model, but the entire order processing would happen through click, right? I hope it helps you. It helps in addressing your question.
Probably because my area of business is customized vertical residential home lifts, highly customized, where it's very difficult. So we do a lot of design development and then manufacture and install. So we were trying to actually look into a process of how we can digitalize the entire process into a click and brick process.
You can access, actually mix of AR, VR, and other social media element. I think for you the important is access to opportunities, right? The person who actually need your services need to have access to you, right? Today when I'm not able to move out of my house, and this will be true for another at least 6 months in my view, right? People would be still hesitant in moving out. So your reach will reduce, right? So how do you increase your reach is by way of going digital, right? So you have to see how best you can, enable technology in expanding your reach. And if you're able to reach your customer, then I think delivery is not a problem. Delivery will happen, right? Flipkart and Amazon have started deliveries, right? That is not an issue. I think for you, more important is how to reach your target audience.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks. Next.
Sandhya?
Cool.
Still on hold.
No, if you have any further query till time Sandhya helps us move on, or else if we have something to add. But I'm a firm believer, all businesses, right, even for banking, right, the banking infrastructure will continue, right? But what will change this entire industry would be digitization. Right, we all know now, talking about neo banking, we'll probably see many more solutions, by way of neo banking. Right, I hope it helps give you some on your query. Where you based?
Pardon, Vishakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh. Finish off my ideation, MVP, we are monetizing. But now when I really go ahead for venture capital and all, because ours is not a SaaS model or a software model, we have a lot of hiccups. So explaining to them.
No, it's nothing to do with SaaS or any model. I think it will take slightly longer as far as venture funding is concerned, because people have to understand. So see, smaller check is still not an issue as long as it is happening within known circle. The real challenge is coming when you are actually going for growth enabler, right? So education companies which are leveraging online are still the flavor to some extent, even healthcare. Otherwise, it's a bit longer cycle in my view.
Oh. Yeah, sorry. My power just went off, so
No problem.
So
Funny
actually, said that he will have a coffee ordered for you whenever he has chance.
Sure. Let's move on to the next person. We have Shivaram here. Thank you, Fanendra. I'm muting you again. We have Shivaram here. Shivaram. I think some problem is there. I'm unable to unmute him. Hello, Shivaram. Can you hear us? Hello. Okay, we'll move on. Harish. Okay, yeah. I think we got Sheetal. Hello. Hello, Sheetal. Hello.
You want to just take a question that has been sent in earlier when they were registering?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. We have questions in the questions tab as well. So one interesting question is: has your due diligence process taken a new avatar to protect you from the prevailing uncertainty? So it's a question to Anil, I'm guessing.
Hey, can you repeat the question, Sandhya?
Yeah, sure. Has your due diligence process taken a new avatar to protect you from the prevailing uncertainty?
See, not really, right? As I told you, we as an investor, I'm pretty sure it's true for everyone, unless until my reading about the segment is not right. We all are learning, but see, honestly, because of non-movement and a physical access, right? We do need touch and feel, during initial phase, and if that is not there, I don't know how long we can, rely on video conferencing, right? That's fine, but that doesn't allow me, to have true access, right? I definitely, let's say if I'm looking on some unique model, right, which have both blend of brick and click. Right, click is okay, but how do I have access to brick, right? I need to touch and feel. So yes, we are. So I told in beginning that we have done some deals, right? We actually did deals, all over, the Zoom call or WebEx or phone call, Skype, over phone. The diligence is happening, legal, technical, financial, commercial, right? But there is one element which we, prefer spending time with, entrepreneur team, you know, access to real customer. That's actually, is not happening. So yes, it's a tough
Are you able to speak to the
but we
customers?
do understand. Not really, Ravi. So like some of them are in beta stage, right? So even if I speak, it's kind of irrelevant because we have to build a hypothesis around, right, set use case. So it's really tough, and availability is also, is a challenge in some cases, right? I don't know whom I'm speaking to, and also it actually is a challenging time for us, honestly speaking. That's also one reason why, the bigger deals are, slightly taking longer. I'm sure it will improve starting June, July, but yes, it actually have been a challenge for us. While we have closed a couple of deals, but it's a challenging time.
And these were deals that were already there in your pipeline with that had reached a
No,
certain level.
This all
They
we have
started.
sourced last 2 months. It's all during COVID time, so I can at least comfortably say that we have done proper two or three deals during COVID time. Haven't met any of
Wow.
the entrepreneurs, all sourced through like probably Ravi connected me somebody, Anil, hey Anil, why don't you look at it calls, blah blah blah. Team worked on it, did our bit of back channel check and all. So we have done at least two deals which are pure COVID. So it's not that I've done deal back and now announcing. These are pure in last 2 months or eight weeks.
That's very encouraging for a lot of people on the call here. That's very encouraging.
Yeah, it's happening. That's what I'm saying. So Ravi, one more thing I would like to share. I don't know how much time is left, but I would certainly, suggest all entrepreneurs, be flexible during this time. I think you will get time to bounce back, and hard. You would have your own time, but today is time for survival, right? I have seen people going down the tube only because, they showed some resistance to flexibility. Right? Today is the time to go with the flow, and trust me, you will get your chance to bounce back, and that's when you can have much longer jump, than not in position to take a jump, right? So be flexible and go with the flow.
Good,
Yes,
good
Sanjay.
advice.
Can we just stop for a minute now? We'll just take the survey for today. So
Sure.
I'm putting down the survey link here in the chat window. I request all the participants to fill in the form because it is very helpful to us to get feedback and then we build on it and make our sessions better. So I request all the participants to give feedback to us. And meanwhile, Ravi, I was interested in the first question because what are the other kind of debts do you think that startups have an option now to take? Like if we are to consider debt funding as something, so feasible or how good is it? And
So Sanjay, I will share one example which is happening with a portfolio company, and I'm sure Ravi will also have something to share. So one of our portfolio company, which basically is in radio frequency, and they're building a product which largely goes into car industry. Now, given situation, I think most of the car company will take times. They will start with 25-30% capacity and then will go up to 100% capacity. It's a long cycle, right? So this one company where we have invested is heavily dependent on high-end R&D solutions, and they need some sophisticated equipments which would cost anywhere around $200,000, right? Now, in normal circumstances, we would have found some investor to back them, right? But considering current situation, I think it's a bit challenge. So we took a cautious call, and I encouraged them to look at some long-term debt financing, right? Which is normally through bank or NBFC, and they had been able to get in principle okay from two financial institutes. One is willing to do with a collateral, and one is willing to do as a security for equipment itself, right? A challenging time. I think I have suggested them to keep talking to banks and show them the ability to pay back, right? I think no bank will say no, or no financial institute will say no to good business, right? But if I need money just to keep my lights on, fans on, no business, I think we will have challenge. But if I have a path to payment, right, which is P2P, path to payment, then I think banks are more than willing and encouraging for extending, right? So I'm talking almost around $200,000 from a bank. Probably we might land up getting something around 80 to 85%. Balance, I think we will leverage our balance sheet, but it's a good quantum. If you look at $200,000 is not a small sum, right?
Right.
So you have to be innovative. Yeah.
So just another question, which is not necessarily debt, but are you seeing a lot of convertible debt in the circles that you are looking to get additional funding for either your portfolio companies or other companies? Are you considering that yourself?
So Ravi, honestly, I think among our peers, we are one of the best placed fund today, because some of the companies were able to raise money before all this fiasco happened. So they are well placed. Out of our 17 companies, two of course we have exited. 15 we have stress in two. We know that they probably may be the casualties. Can't help it, right? That's the nature of problem we are facing today. But rest of the companies, I can comfortably say that even if there is zero business for next 12 months, right? They don't cut any single invoice for next 12 months, they would still survive. And if they're able to survive this period, I think they will be back in business, right? But there are a few companies which have raised money and decent money. So we don't have much of challenge except one or two. I already shared, right? One company which was good to raise some money, but because of this situation, they finding it tough. But we need those equipment, so we are encouraging them to go for debt. Rest two companies were at term sheet stage, so I don't know where it will go because things are on hold now. But Ravi, coming to your specific question, Convertible debt is fine provided investors are willing to invest, right? Today, either it's happening or it's not happening. And given situation, I doubt convertibles will happen, Ravi, honestly, because you need, right? The need is much stronger than want, and in that situation, people may want to take advantage on valuation, right? So valuations have got corrected. Convertibles, I have not come across. I would prefer doing that, but it's not happening because I can ask for absolute number, and if that's the case, then it's not. I told you, right? The people who are not showing flexibility are one who are going down the tube.
Yeah. Maybe one last question, Handya.
Yeah. So I request all of the participants to still keep filling the form whenever they can. We'll send it across to you from our post webinar email. So please give us feedback whenever you can. But for now, let's go with the question from Pratyush Bhadra. Hello, Pratyush.
Yeah, hello.
Hi. Please
Am I
ask your
audible?
question. Yeah, you are.
Yeah, actually, I am looking for electronic development fund because as per now, we have done a kind of MVP product, but from MVP to market product development is quite expensive. And as of now, we are not in revenue stage, so angel investment is quite tough. So we are looking for electronic development fund as a pre-series, and amount is around 45 lakh. So is it possible to get in this situation?
So Pratyush, see, as a flow, normally, you raise money from family and friends, then you look at angel investors, and then you go to funds, right? Luckily, India, we do have, a fund which is specifically for your kind of industry, right? So you should check with those funds. I think you can find the list of, funds which have been supported by, ESDM Mighty. We are also one of that fund, but we have exhausted our investable amount because that was first fund. We are in second fund, so we don't have investing capacity now from fund one. But you should should check which are the fund active and still investing. Otherwise, I would strongly encourage you to keep exploring with angels, because today India, like you guys are lucky that we have so many angels to explore with, and you may find couple of angels who may be interested in funding. It's a very small amount, right? Maybe just if you're able to find 4 or 5 angels who are willing to write a check of 5 to 10 lakh, I think you're in game. So don't give up on angels. Angel groups probably may not find it worth exploring, because normally angel groups want to do anything upward of 1 crore or 50 lakhs. Your requirement is less than 50 lakhs. So keep exploring with individual angels. Where are you based, Pratyush?
I am from Bangalore.
Oh my God! So you basically sitting in Makkah, Madina. So why? Just keep exploring, boss. There are
Okay,
several.
sir.
Also look at Kitwen, right? Just see if they can help you, because they have a specific fund for your kind of situations.
Sir, but Kidwan is more than 1 crore.
I'm just find out from them.
Okay,
I think they
sir.
work with like-minded people. They can refer you to some known angels with whom they might have worked in past, right? But 45 lakhs is too small, so keep exploring. Venture Catalyst is there. You can look at Angel List. You can talk to Sanjay Mehta, right? I don't know whether he do it or not, but just see if you can get audience with them. But there's so many angels. Keep exploring.
Thai Bangalore, Pratyush. Talk to people are there. They also have a Thai Angel fund now. Multiple charter members are also investing. So what the propensity for your kind of business that we have to figure out. But definitely check that out.
Yeah, list is long. You can comfortably be busy for next 2 months just to reach out them as a as a first contact. So don't give up.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And also
Thank
look
you.
at, on Mighty side, there may be, some provision for a person like you to get some funding for, MVP to commercialization.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You can reach out to T-Hub folks also. We have a METI program right now. If there's anything specific that you would like us to consider, then we can always make that as part of both the funding and the program.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Okay.
Thank you. Do we have? Okay, it's already 12. Ravi, would you want to conclude?
Yeah, Anil, do you want to say anything before we wrap up?
Also, my last words, guys, don't give up. I think today everyone have equal opportunity, right? Some of the businesses might feel that, we are stuck. Honestly speaking, if you ask me, we are also in business of investing, right? We are also stuck, but I'm not giving up. I'm still continuously talking to LPs. LP for us, like for you, VC, what is LPs to us, right? We raise money from people, and they are referred as LP. And we had been continuously, trying to innovate ourselves, how to reach out, and I'm glad to share that we have closed some LPs during this time as well, right? So don't give up. Journey is longer, but that doesn't mean that we should stop walking. I actually get inspired by people who have taken a journey to walk for 2,000 kilometers to reach their respective home. I think if you're focused, nothing can stop you, right? Whether you have cycle, you have train, you have flight, you will reach your destination. If you're focused, and if you have that one passion to achieve it, I think you will bounce back, and we will bounce back. Right? I can, and I will. Those are my last two words.
Very inspiring, Anil. Yeah, so as Anil said, it's a very different time than what we had jumped into entrepreneurship with. But each one of us is an entrepreneur, and we are trying to figure out the best way we can, come out of this situation. But there is nothing like coming out. It's actually figuring out the situation best. We then once you have a read, and you have a hypothesis as to how you will actually succeed in that new situation, you actually come out and execute to that, which is what entrepreneurship is all about. So I feel that don't look at this as something that has happened only specifically to you or to your business. It has happened to all of us. But at the same time, we are all in it together. We are all doing things. I think we have found the human side of things much more strongly than ever before, and we feel that what we had kind of taken for granted in the normal course of business has actually become forefront for us. And at the Hub, we are a not-for-profit organization, so it's not for us to go make any money at this point in time, as much as making sure that the ecosystem that we've built so far continues to survive, or maybe even thrive, because this may be an opportunity for us to put in the Indian startups, on a global map in a much larger way. It's not like an organic thing anymore. It's just a pause, and then suddenly you leapfrog. So I think I'm very, very optimistic about where we can get our ecosystem to with all the leaders that we have, like Anil and others. We will definitely get there. So with that, I will wrap up. Thank you very much, Anil, for making the time for us. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ravi, and good luck to all. Bye-bye. Thanks, Sandhya.
Thank you. Bye.